All right. Welcome in. This is probably just been cut. I don't know how this is going to look in the post yet. I think I'm going to intro the episode, put our remarks, and then maybe play the episode that was 279 episodes ago on the back end of what you're about to hear right now. So 3 years almost, and almost 300 episodes later. And we're finally going to put a wrap on this conversation and this whole situation, which honestly, thank God. Uh, because I think in the end, the best thing, regardless of how it happens, is that this whole ordeal, the university, the coaches, the players, everybody moves on from it. So ideally, that's what this culmination is. Now, as we discussed last week, the coaches were dismissed individually from the case with, I already forgot, with or without prejudice. I think it was without prejudice. And I don't know
Wallace
why.
was with prejudice. Everyone else was without prejudice.
Yeah. I don't know why. You just got quiet again, Kev. I'm not really sure why. And there we go. So that means that technically these coaches could be brought back into a lawsuit. They could refile, they being the players. I would imagine, and what we are about to get into, is that the terms of the settlement that happened today, we are recording this on March the 6th, which, by the way,
shout out to Gary. Happy birthday, pal.
Shout out to Gary. Huh?
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
This guy saved, I mean, it was only 5 minutes, but he saved 4 out of 5 minutes that we didn't record of Jack Campbell last night because of a technical glitch. So shout out.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to tell everyone that. I mean, we could have put it together smoothly. Would have been no issues.
We need to give you props on that one.
Maybe. I don't know. Appreciate it. Thank you.
And shout out to the walk-on army for those who, Drake and I were posting that Venmo all over the place. Gary got a bunch of donations, and I guess he gave it all to the hospital.
Yes,
so this guy's
just no. I donated all of it. It's best way to spend that kind of money. So thank you to everyone. Seriously.
I think you should have kept at least $20 for yourself or some pictures at Spoko. Happy birthday, buddy.
I can figure out where to pull some funds for that potentially. But no, if it's coming from the walk-on army, it's going to the hospital. So,
well, there you go. So shout out to Gary, and happy birthday, buddy. 21, big one. They all suck after that one, by the way.
Do y'all remember your 21st?
Yeah, we went to. It's the only night I went out that year, and we went to Spoko, and you guys, the entire house drank my 21 pitchers. I think I had one beer. So
that was very, very generous of you, Kluver. Thank you very much. Happy
no
birthday.
problem. I'd always here for the boys. So where were we? Coaches could technically be brought back in, except for Wallace. Brian, Kirk, and Chris could all be brought back in. I would imagine that they are not, because a settlement has been reached. That is the news of today. You are hearing this 1 week post because I am putting this with our original episode. As I said, I wanted to clump together all that was related to this into one podcast, which is going to end up being over 2 hours long, because we almost, I don't know if you boys remember, we went for like 2 hours, 1 hour 55 minutes on that original episode. Fucking marathon. So if you're listening to this, it's probably because we sent you here, because in the previous episode that came out on Thursday, which we're about to actually record next, I told you that we weren't talking about this settlement until this episode. For those who want to go back and let this thing play and hear us talk about it initially, take a trip down memory lane. It's spring break. Congrats. So Iowa, the University of Iowa, has, and the Board of Regents, and a little preface here. I obviously don't know all the details of all this, and I don't care to. I know the gist of it from Twitter, like most people. Has reached a settlement. Now, I knew about this last week. I've known about this for a week. I didn't know the exact numbers. I didn't know the exact details. All I knew was from a very credible source that they were going to be reaching a settlement. And that was sort of the assumption when about a week ago, they were dismissed as individuals. There was a lot of speculation that that was where this was heading. And even and you listen to our podcast number 399, we speculated the same thing. Is this was clearly these guys are kind of worried about the money at this point. It's been drug out already for almost 3 years, or I guess 2 years. The coaches, and we'll get to this in a second, were very, very against settling as individuals and admitting fault in this case because they thought that they had a very strong case. And so they, I don't know, call it strategy, call it whatever, decided to drop those individuals, go after the university, and just get some go away money. And that's what they did. There are 6 of our former teammates on this settlement. 6 of the 7. I don't even know the other guy. I think he was there for like a year in 2019 or something. So something like $184,000 a guy after, I mean, it was a $4.2 million settlement. And these guys are collectively getting about $1.5 million of that.
Yeah.
Not even. So
Good to be a lawyer.
great to be a lawyer, man. The lawyer just milked those guys.
It's what they do. Doesn't matter what they're doing. They're good. They're gonna get paid.
And good for them. You know, good for the lawyer doing their job. Honestly, I don't know if I even care to speculate if that's a lot or a little. I think the fact that they got any money at all, and if you want some maybe, I don't know, I'm not going to promise anything, but if you want some more unfiltered thoughts, maybe tune into DHT tomorrow because Drake and I might have some opinions there. We're certainly not going to let Drake fully off the leash on this one tonight. But I will say, and I can speak for several teammates that we've already talked to across all years that we've played with, that it feels so scummy. It feels scummy. There's not a lot of former guys who love this. I will say what I do love. I love that the coaches stuck up for themselves and said, fuck you guys. Like, we'll take this thing to court and we'll win because as it's been retweeted out, all their depositions revealed that they initially lied and had no proof of any previous claim that they had made against the individuals. So if there's a bright light here, it's that the coaches kind of held strong and said, hey, we're not admitting fault here because we did not do anything that was intentionally discriminatory. What a word. And we kind of talked about that on the last podcast as well, how this sort of fell in a gray area between maybe bias, negligence, unintentional, and less about like some evil clan meeting inside of the facility where they were intentionally trying to get all the black guys out. So you guys can offer some initial thoughts or just any thoughts. That's sort of the gist of it. I am going to read KF's statement on the whole matter because there's actually some interesting shit that went down around this. But yeah, you guys can talk.
Drake, you look like you want to say something really badly right now.
Fuck them. That's my statement.
Solid.
There's Drake Kulik right there for you. Yeah, I mean, disappointed, right? I don't feel like these guys deserve that money. And then obviously, I'm going to echo what Coach had to say. Is I think they had a really great chance of fighting this and winning, but at the end of the day, it was probably more expensive to fight and win than to just call it a day, put it all
Yep.
behind them. So at the end of the day, I think it is good just to have it all behind us. There's nothing holding anyone back anymore. It's water under the bridge, but taking the settlement does just put a black eye on the program, right?
Yeah,
Even admitting no wrongdoing, no faults, whatever. Yep, you paid these guys off, right?
Yeah,
It's a bad look.
And I saw it on Twitter. I saw it on Twitter from several people. Of course, there's going to be the trolls who are on there, like, which, by the way, I think the part that scums me out the most, because there may be some people who listen to this and go, "Oh wow, like you're upset that these guys got compensated for things that you said actually did happen," or
Yes, those motherfuckers should be bankrupt for eternity.
here's what scums me out is I know that they were only in it for the money. I know these guys, right? I know them. In fact, I believe I've been living in Marcel's head rent free for the last 3 years because we've decided to talk about it on this podcast. He tweeted at me today, and I went to his profile, and he has these tweets that get sent out to nobody. And he's like saying stuff that we say on the podcast. Like they listen to this podcast because they're fucking they're worried about what we're saying. It's honestly comical. So hey, Marcel Akram, what's up, boys?
Suck my dick, you fucking pussies.
There we go. So Akram, unprovoked, went back to my tweet from last week and like put an emoji that had like the little like a satisfied face emoji on it. And I retweeted it very quickly and said, "Hey, can I get a signed football? Congrats, bud." And he deleted that tweet within 15 minutes because he started to get absolutely torched by, I mean, he's not a smart guy. Akram has never made the best decisions. Let's just go with that. His lawyers are probably yelling at him through text conversation. "Hey, don't fucking tweet at anybody, you dumbass." And he deleted several other tweets as well that were shot out at other people, I guess. I don't know. They're celebrating on social media like they just won the fucking lottery, basically. And
Yeah,
in a way, like, congrats, you got 184 grand. Like you made 2 scholarships worth of money that you already got when you went to the university, and it's like 3 years worth of like the average salary. So in 2026, I hope you got something planned.
Is settlement money
Taxable? Because I hope
taxable?
so.
Does Uncle Sam get their cut of that? Is that like taxable income?
If I know anything about Uncle Sam, I would probably put my money on yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Good thought.
That'd be an interesting stat. How much money does the government make on the court settlement?
Gary, look it up.
Try and find that, Gary. Anyway, this is not a sit here and talk bad about Akram and Marcel and the others podcast, though I'm sure we could do a series on that because they deserve it. Because I don't give a shit, right? We just have this platform where there's this thing going on with the program, and so it's like we talk about it. Kevin talked about it on Gary clipped it. It's like Kevin was worried about his job when all this happened because we had this crazy platform, and it's like, well, we got to talk about it. In most cases, physical injury, car accident injury with no previous are not taxable. A portion of the settlement,
punitive damages,
lost wages are taxable. Nice.
but that's I don't know what are this punitive damages then?
Couldn't tell you. These settlement portions are taxable because they would otherwise be taxed or are additional non-medical related funds. If you received a full or partial payment for wages, you need to include it on your IRS return. So, yeah,
I'm not sure.
I don't know either. Either way,
They got a few coins tossed their way. I hope they
Which-
make it last. Best good for you guys.
yeah, I hope that money gets invested or something. Don't have high hopes for that, but you know, it is what it is. Kind of seemed like, I don't know. I get the feeling they think they really fucking pulled one over on people, and like you're going up against a university that's worth millions of dollars, and you got paid out 184 grand.
I would have loved to known what happened. Like, say the university's like, fuck it, I don't care if it's more expensive for us to fight this and win than it is just to pay them off. But for them to just say and do it, like, would they have been on the hook for any legal fees? Because that would have been kind of ironic.
I just don't know. I don't know.
Well, regardless, moving on. I think the most disgusting thing about this is that there's taxpayer money being used to pay this out.
Yeah, so
It's kind of absolutely filthy.
So it's weird. 2.2, at least this was the proposal that, and then I think they passed it today. 2.2 million of the 4.2 million was on the university. They were responsible for that, or whatever, the board of regents. I don't know. The other $2 million was on the taxpayers of Iowa. I don't understand that. And
well, it's because it's a state school, and
Sure.
from what I was reading, it's like, it goes to the fucking treasurer of the state, the attorney general, and the auditor were like the ones who, like, because they are who like the board of regents report to or whatever.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense.
So that's why it's coming out of the state's coffers. And I know $2 million means it's like fucking chum change to the state of Iowa, but still, the principle of it is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, it makes for some weird sort of nuance to this. I can only imagine if Drake was here being a taxpayer in the state of Iowa. And I mean, like, technically, you and I, Cav, just paid our teammates, like, I think it was like 64 cents, something like that each.
Go buy yourselves a gumball.
Yeah, hey, enjoy your lolly. Weird. Just some weird stuff. We'll kind of end this around this. Again, a lot of people are going to see this, unfortunately, because they don't read into it more, as an admittance of guilt by the coaches, and they don't even understand that the coaches were dropped and that the coaches didn't want this. And in fact, the coaches didn't even know about a settlement until it was agreed upon, because this was KF's statement, and I'll just share it. So this came out and is very interesting. This is KF. I am greatly disappointed in how this legal matter was resolved. However, I am grateful of the many players, parents, donors, fans, and others who remain supportive of our coaches and program during this time. The settlement negotiations took place between plaintiffs' counsel and the Iowa Attorney General's office, which represents the University of Iowa and the Board of Regents. That's what you were just talking about, Kevin. These discussions took place entirely without the knowledge or consent of the coaches who were named in the lawsuit. In fact, the parties originally named disagree with the decision to settle, fully believing that the case would have been dismissed with prejudice before trial. A motion for summary judgment was filed, which outlined why the case should have been dismissed. Unfortunately, this settlement was reached between the plaintiff's attorneys and the Iowa Attorney General's office before the judge had an opportunity to rule on the motion. We have been told the reason for the settlement is financial. Shocker. As the part of the settlement, the coaches named were dismissed from the lawsuit, and there is no admission of any wrongdoing. So that's like the very small silver lining here, right? Is that cool? Like, it's not on the coaches anymore legally, and they kind of wiped their hands of this under the statement or status that they are not admitting fault or wrongdoing here, which they wanted to fight for in court. For more than 2 years, our program has been unfairly and negatively impacted by these allegations. Members of the staff had their character and reputation tarnished by former members of our team who said things, then recanted many statements when questioned under oath. See attached. And then he pulls up the receipts. Dog. Today we move forward. My focus is entirely on the players, coaches, and staff as we prepare for the 2023 season. And then what he links, the attached, is basically 1 through 7. Every single player that's on this lawsuit admitted in deposition that everything that they said was false, a lie, or didn't happen, which is why the coaches wanted to have that summary judgment ruled on. So, weird. But it is what it is. I mean, the university decided, fuck it, we're just going to make these guys go away. We've got the money to do that, and they're going to take this little chump change that we're going to flop over, and they're going to be done with it. So it is what it is. I hope this is the last fucking time we have to talk about this. I do not want it to be a part of, as much as Marcel and Akram would enjoy the publicity because they'll never be relevant in the Hawkeye community again. I really hope that this is the last time that we ever have to say their name. So, any other thoughts?
Just happy to have it behind us. Like, kind of like Coach said, it's like now we can just move on with a clean slate.
Cool. Assuming this may get cut, it may not, but if this goes at the front of the podcast, you are now about to listen to the three of us talk about this a week after it all went down back in 2020. Pretty interesting to go back and listen to us talk about it 3 years ago and now watch the evolution of the whole thing go down. So enjoy that. I'm not sure it's enjoyable, but be entertained. Spend your time doing it if you see fit.